Raf has the definition of smashes. Thank God. People have been sleepless since Friday night. We finally know who the best stall fighter delayer in the Ultimate Fighter house was, and Roy Nelson is probably a little thinner today than he was Saturday. It's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting is easier from outside the cage. I'm here with Raf Esparza. Raf, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I had an eventful weekend. I'm doing good. I'm recovering. Tonight listeners are probably very curious what I'm drinking, and I've changed it up because I started with a whiskey. Tonight is red wine. So
what does red wine do to you?
Usually just gives me a nice relaxing, thicker feel. It makes me feel warm inside. Is
that your mellow?
Yes, it's my chill out drink.
So then what does beer do to you?
Speeds up a lot of the aggressive qualities, which is a great way to transition into some fights. We're going to cover some smashes. We're going to talk about why you're going to have to do some of the heavier lifting as we review these, and just some things around MMA. We're going to talk about our current fight with Twitter.
Yep.
And we'll finish it up with a brand new segment called Jokes That Raf Wrote, or Raf's Jokes. We're not sure on a name yet.
You tell us.
But tweet us. Yeah, you tell us. You let us know what you think. Raf's Jokes or Jokes That Raf Wrote. Your name really works well for limericks.
I like to think that too. My name works for a lot of things.
Yeah, your name is it's a very versatile name.
It's a versatile name. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's review the fights. Raf, do you mind telling us what happened?
Not at all, but I know everybody here is waiting on pins and needles to find out why they referred to the international installment of The Ultimate Fighter as the Smashes. Are you ready for it?
We were curious. We did ask this in the last podcast. You were just amused with all get out that they called it Smashes. And we were, why do they do that? So Raf sought out and did a little bit of research, mostly for his own entertainment. But Correct. What did you find?
According to a very reliable Wikipedia entry, the reason this was called the Smashes is it is a play on a 130-year-old cricket rivalry between England and Australia. Yep. Hold your excitement. Contain it, please.
100-year-old cricket metaphor, essentially.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they decided, well, what do we do in this fight game? We hit people. So take ashes and put smashes on that. And then, if we really want to go ahead and expand it, next time we'll call it Super Smash Brothers.
Do you think that the people of Australia and England understood that metaphor? Understood that it was alluding to ashes?
Probably not. My assumption is just that they're always pretty drunk.
So there's no way for them to. My inclination would be people were probably like, oh, I guess that makes sense. But I can't imagine a lot of them were like, definitely, this is what it is.
Or, yeah, I don't think in any way, shape, or form they were that passionate about it. But just when you hear it as an American, you think, that's a stupid name. Like, what's to hold the UFC from doing another all-UK installment that's just called
stupid name.
The Ultimate Fighter? Governors?
That's the UFC on Fox 27.
Yep.
Governors?
Trademark.
I wish it were. Governors, I would have understood. I think you might be onto something. I know, yeah, it's a half joke, half that might be exactly what they should have done.
Or
they would have been like, oh, cool, throwing it back.
Governors versus Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
What would they change governors to, though? Because technically they did alter the name a little bit.
I don't know.
Like Govin Bros. Like
Govin
add a little
Bros.
bro.
They're not Persian, dude.
What was the accent? No, I struggle with accents.
It's okay.
So, what happened at Smashes?
Okay, there were a series of fights. It wasn't a great night of fights on this card. There were some highlights, though. Hector Lombard started off the evening with a devastating knockout.
How devastating.
It was right afterwards. I posted on our Twitter, Verbal Tapcast plug, that he essentially reminded us what the Christmas spirit is all about. And it is watching someone get knocked the F out. Because it was a great destructive, I think it was like a left hand that just put somebody down, and you were just in awe of how great it was. I would highly say if you can go back and watch that replay, it's worth your time.
Let me actually stop you there real quick, because that's something I'm kind of pissy with the UFC about. As people are probably noticing, I did not watch the fights, so Raf is kind of having to take us through it. And I didn't watch the fights for a series of circumstances to which none of them were my fault. And, just the bar in Arlington I went to on Friday didn't know the fights. Didn't even know what I was talking about. He was like, there are no fights. There's no pay-per-view on tonight. I was like, you're right. There is no pay-per-view on tonight. There are free fights. I did say this to him, Raf. I go, Smashes is on. kind of hit him like he should know exactly what that was.
He's probably thinking like, dude, we don't have the Australian version of NBC's moderate hit drama Smash. Weirdo.
Get out of my bar.
Right.
So, struggling on that front already. Saturday was at a very nice hotel that also did not have the fights. It was just, they turned on Fox and they weren't there. At the scheduled time, they just weren't there. I can
kind of see this with hotels. Like, I've had that problem too. I've actually just like sought out certain places. Like, sometimes in order to be a UFC fan, you have to be really, really good at organizing and scheduling. Yeah. Because they have so many fights. They have so many different, like, channels that they're putting them on. My biggest problem right now is the Fuel Network.
Why? What did the Fuel Network do?
I don't fucking have it, and I'm not going out of my way to ask for it. I don't want to call my cable provider and say, like, hey, dude, can you put on this one channel? Wait, how much is it going to cost me? Another fucking $5? No.
For Fuel TV that I'm going to watch for 2 hours once a effing month?
And
because it's Fuel TV?
Yeah, and my old cheating mechanism of, like, watching it on Fox Deportes, the Spanish version of Fox Sports. Olé, indeed. They aren't even playing it now. They're just playing soccer. And if they have the choice between soccer and the UFC, they're gonna choose soccer. So
yeah, that's no contests.
It's just enraging to the point where every time I want to see the pre-card, I either want it just on Facebook so I can link it up to my TV, or just put it on FX.
Just put it on FX. And here's I think we're talking about both sides of this problem, because I agree with you, F Fuel TV. But when is the UFC going to start publishing highlight reels? There's a thing about it, like the ESPN always even does for major boxing fights. Do they think we won't watch the fight again, or we won't want to see it if we can just read the results? Like, why don't they do what every other major sport in the world does?
Well, do a quick, like, search in your head. How many times did you see that image of Manny Pacquiao getting knocked out and lying on the floor?
A lot.
A lot. And sometimes you're lucky if you see a highlight on ESPN of a fight that happened on the UFC.
Yeah. And it's got to be something the UFC does, right? Because, of course, ESPN would highlight some of these fights. And that's a big complaint I have about widening the sport in general. Make it on the same level as, just give it a highlight reel so you can reward your fans that can't always be there.
Yeah.
Because I think they end up just losing people. I think the UFC is just like, what if basketball did this? It was like, missed out on 74 of the 82 games this year? Well, go fuck yourself, because we're not replaying it. You either be there or you will catch it in 2 years at our greatest hits episode. And it's always infuriating as a fan, because it's like basketball has that shit figured out. They publish, NBA.com publishes everything.
Yeah.
Everything's free. And it's great because it's like, oh, that looked like an amazing game between the Nuggets and the Spurs. I'm going to keep an eye out, and I'm going to watch that Nuggets team. And for some reason, the UFC has not figured that out yet.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I think they're very sensitive about their finishes. I think it's because they like that air that, to the casual fan, if you see an UFC Unleashed on any like random channel that syndicates it, that it's like a new fight to you. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you how many times I've had my friends, like, very nicely because they know I'm a UFC fan, put on UFC Unleashed, which is a highlight clip show, and going like, "Oh, this is cool. This is happening right
UFC
now,
Unleashed.
right?"
Yeah. So you're completely in agreement with me then, it sounds like. They're really turning people away when they don't show those cool moments in the fight.
I think
like this one sounds like it would have been a cool knockout fight you're talking about, and I don't get to see it.
No, probably not until one of those end of the year things. I also went to Best Buy yesterday, and I saw they package in like a $99 deal the fights from July 2010 to June 2011. So they put out like end of the year package deals that go from like summer to summer to try and drum up more business. So maybe that's part of it too.
Interesting, but still seems horribly inefficient.
Yeah.
It seems like you'd be able to drive more YouTube traffic and charge more than you would make in DVD sales and ad revenue.
Yeah. Well, what do we know?
Was that what? That's a great question, and the proof would say not much. So, any other really noteworthy fights on this card?
Yeah, I'm going to go down a
big
little
knockout?
bit.
Okay.
Norman Park and Colin Fletcher. Now, the hardest part about doing any watching on these fights in particular is, first of all, I've given up on The Ultimate Fighter in terms of watching it just consistently. Like, I catch it sporadically, but never in, like, the sequence they want me to. And between Norman Park and Colin Fletcher, well, first of all, they look weird because both of them had tattoos that were insane. Norman Park had one that I swear to God looked like a geisha with a fan. And
like Jade from Mortal Kombat, like a geisha fan type thing.
I'm talking Memoirs of a Geisha. Like,
ooh,
fan
choice.
Fanning themselves and looking at you like, what are you doing here? That's the kind of look that he had on the tattoo. So he has that on, like, one of his, like, pecs. And on the other side, you had Colin the Freak Show.
On one of his pecs?
Yeah.
He has... Okay.
And then on the other one, on Colin Fletcher, he had what looked like Drag Me to Hell clawed hands across his shoulders.
That sounds terrifying.
It's really... Well, that's why he's called the Freak Show. And he's got, like, essentially a spider on it.
We saw these guys on the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
These guys, we were like, oh, high tattoo probability for psychopath alert. Like, these guys are tatted up.
And the whole thing is, they try and give you a prepackage that tells you about their story and fills you in on all the stuff that you haven't seen about these two. And I could really care less. The most interesting thing to me between the two of them was that Colin had essentially vampire teeth that looked from a Rammstein video. And that was basically it. The fight was okay. Fletcher couldn't put on any offense to save any part of this fight. Norman Park kind of just walked over him. It wasn't that exciting to me.
Yeah. Sounds exactly like we thought it was going to be then.
Yeah.
What about the main event, the Soteropoulos?
Oh, George Stephanopoulos?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. I will admit to our listeners right now, I don't do so well with the names. I think names are hard to pronounce. So if I can't say a name, I come up with a really good nickname, or I just really, really butcher it. So George...
With confidence, though. You sell it.
Oh, yeah, you got it. So George Stephanopoulos was fighting against Ross Pearson. Pearson caught him a few times in the first couple rounds and basically was wobbling him. Now, the whole time it was going to be one of those classic, are they going to do, George likes to stick on the ground and do a ground game, and is Ross Pearson going to try and keep it standing up? Pearson straight out said at the very beginning, he's like, I just want to knock him down. I don't give a shit. We don't like each other, and I want to beat the shit out of his face. And he did. And he wobbled him at least 4 or 5 times, to the point where when Stephanopoulos finally got knocked out, it was like, thank God. I'm just glad that's over, because it's always the weirdest thing when you see someone's legs start to buckle in a fight.
It really is. Just when they lose that control, it's fascinating.
Yeah, you feel so weird about it because you know that that's impacted them so hard. Like, imagine getting hit so hard in the face, your leg wobbles.
It just fights adrenaline.
Yeah, when does that ever
crazy.
happen?
Yeah, my leg wobbles for a lot of reasons, though. Like, I'd say there are at least 4 or 5 occasions on a daily basis that I almost wobble.
Why does your leg
swift
wobble?
Sneeze is one of them. An aggressive throat tickle makes my knees kind of wobble, and sometimes those go together. And if I stand up too fast after coffee, oddly enough.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. I will say this.
So I'm kind of an expert, is what I'm saying.
Of course you are. Hector Lombard, one interesting thing about him, he called out Michael Bisping, which made me an immediate fan of his.
Was he like, you're overpaid, you shouldn't be a top 5 grossing fighter?
Well,
I demand you don't make that much.
It was just awesome to see him do that. And over the course of the weekend, during a press conference, when asked if the winner of the next Michael Bisping fight gets a shot at Anderson Silva, Dana White just responded, probably. Like, dude, I don't know. I guess.
Why would I have a plan for the sport's greatest superstar? That's not my style.
The weirdest thing about this actual, like, smashes thing as well was that you could tell they sent their C team.
Oh, really? To the UFC, like, production-wise?
Mm-hmm. Because they had another event going on in Vegas, which is home base. And since it's not a pay-per-view, they don't have all of their A-team. So, essentially, like, they got an announcer who was so happy just to be there. You could tell that Bruce Buffer, like, gives him shit behind the scenes. And is like, you're never going to be good enough.
You're the B team. Just so you know.
I would love to go up to somebody and just call them C team.
Yeah, it's calling things JV. We don't do that enough. We should get back to doing that more as a society. I always like that about us. Hey, you know what else was going on while you were watching the fights and enjoying a lovely evening on Friday?
No, what's that?
I was saving someone's life,
Boo,
Raf.
No, you weren't.
I was. This is this is the first public discussion I've had about it. So in LA, you guys don't really ride the metro, right?
Not particularly.
Yeah. So in DC, and I'm told New York is like this also. Sprinkled throughout the city, you have those wells. Well, we were going in after dinner. It was like 11:30 midnight. Go down and we see like somebody clearly vomited everywhere. So we just keep moving past, assuming someone's drunk. So we roll out, and of course, at the bottom of the escalators, this guy like collapsed. About 10 minutes go by. He was safe. He was just over in the escalator. All of a sudden, I hear this scream. Turn around.
Okay.
Oh, here's a quick moment to explain. It was also an ugly sweater party, so I was wearing one of those tacky Christmas sweaters right as this happens. I turn around, hear the scream, and just start running towards, because it's one of those seconds where I knew what had happened. Like, I knew someone had gone in.
Yeah.
So we're at that platform. I am running. I'm about 50 yards away, and there's this guy in a blue shirt, like, screaming bloody murder that he can't get this guy. He's just screaming. So we get there. Drunk guy has fallen in. Blue shirt guy is trying to get him out. Gets down there, realizes he can't, and is kind of stuck now himself because it's too much of a jump, especially because no one else saw this drunk guy fall in. Like, we just didn't see it. So as I'm like 10 yards away, another guy comes just flying down the steps, jumps in. I arrive. We get drunk guy. We just hoist and throw him. He is unconscious, by the way. Has no idea anything's happening. Still can't be bothered to wake up. Then we get blue shirt guy out. The lights are there. Like, the train is arriving. So this is all happening like 10 seconds while the train, it's really a Bond moment. We throw everybody up, and the last like thing is like hoisting the guy that jumped down, the white shirt guy, as I've called him, up. and the train comes to a screeching halt right at us. So we just barely got up in time because the train didn't stop in time. Yeah. It was insane.
Whoa.
Instantly, it was flooded with like 2 Metro police officers that were like, "Oh my God," because obviously the driver had seen what was happening and just couldn't stop in time because they also have a whole train filled with people. And then we just got on the train Batman style and left. It was great.
This sounds entirely
It's not.
great.
It's not. I have witnesses. There were people. It was great. It was actually kind of a cool moment because 4 strangers like immediately came to, because there was another guy that arrived even after I did to help. And this all happened in like 15, 20 seconds. It was a real Baywatch moment. Like I threw my jacket, but again, I was running in an ugly Christmas sweater, so take it for what you want. And it just kind of happens, and it's a good moment that like 4 people were just like, no, we're gonna save this guy's life, and we just drug him out, and that was it.
Here's what I think actually happened.
Okay,
I think you're saying it's the end of a party, right?
I'm saying it's the end of the evening.
I think what happened is, the end of the evening. So you guys have had a few drinks, right? Okay, you've had a few drinks. You've clearly watched the major motion picture Money Train, starring Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson, and Jennifer Lopez, concocted that so drunkenly in your brain as something that happened when a bum came up to you and said, "Do you have change for $1?" That's what happened.
I swear. I would cop to it if I was exaggerating. This is all real time. What were you doing Friday? Because it sounds like you're projecting. Were you rescuing fathers of possibly 4 and 7 children? We don't know how many kids he could have had. Could have been 20, Raf. What were you doing?
That's unfair.
Just saying.
I will say this. On Friday night, I was actually doing the job that one of us should do and watch the fights.
You were watching the fights? Just you were at home with a pencil and a pad and paper?
The other thing that really sucks is,
or were you hosting?
I was watching the fights, but we're also hosting a party. And I don't know if you guys get this as UFC fans, but there is that weird moment when people who aren't UFC fans give you a strange look.
Yeah, judgment look.
That, like, a judgment look when you have it on your TV.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm not forcing anybody to watch it. I'm actually, I'm recording it, so I'm like, we can DVR it, watch it later, but, while we're waiting for people and as people are trickling in, we might as well. I'll just keep it on mute. But I love that look that, like, people just give you, like you're a psychopath. Because you immediately go into, like, defensive mode.
It's a sport.
You immediately
it's
start
very
telling
safe.
people. Yeah. You go, statistically, it's safer than boxing. There's a referee there, and they're like, "Oh, that's great. That's great." Yeah, totally normal to watch people beat the shit out of each other.
Tell me if this always happens to you. At that moment, someone throws an elbow at someone's face. It always happens that way. As I'm like mid being like, no, this is actually a lot safer than, because everyone does. We're always like, it's actually a lot safer than boxing because it's not as many blows to the head. At that moment, someone always drops a vicious elbow out of nowhere, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna shut the fuck up because it looks really dangerous. Simultaneously, though, I think it does give people that kind of hidden fear about you as an individual, because let's face it, as MMA fans, we have sort of embraced the idea that we like to see 2 people knock each other the fuck out to work out some issues. Like, that's how we like it done.
Right.
we want a definition to the end of this conversation. So it does give people a little warning about the type of person they're dealing with.
I guess so. The other thing that's always kind of weird is you love when someone explains to you, you're like, no, there is a martial art to it. A lot of these guys are very, very respectable people. They're college graduates. They've gone through a lot of training to get here. And then 2 seconds later, when they do the prepackage, on my version, it's always, I just want to kill a guy because when you step into the octagon, you're going out to war and you're ready to die. And then you just kind of stand there and go, oh, I think what he means to say is it's a very tough
He's saying
sport
it's a mental chess match, and he's like, I'm going to kill him.
Right.
I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. And that's, You don't ever see, like, the training videos.
Jiu-jitsu is all about using the other opponent's force against them And I think what he's saying here, and then cut to him on screen being like, if I get the chance, I'm going to snap his shoulder.
In half. Yeah. It happens.
Okay.
So, okay, do you want to move on to the Ultimate Fighters? We're 25 minutes in, because I still want to get to our beef with Twitter and some of your jokes.
Now that we've assimilated the forces to all feel the same.
Yeah, we've really imposed some gritty opinions.
Yeah.
We're throwing.
I really hope that somebody tonight just walks away from this podcast and goes, "Yeah, man, me too." I hate when people say that, especially when I knock the shit out of them while we're watching.
I hate fight judgment. 2 years in prison, but I did my time. Not everybody's a stereotype. Yeah. Okay, the TUF fights seemed even more boring because I noticed both the knockout and the submission and the fight of the night, none of them went to either the finale, which I told you was going to be boring because of who Colton Smith is.
Yes.
Or the Roy Nelson knockout, which also kind of seemed not all that exciting.
Here's the biggest problem. On this fight in particular, first of all, Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson seems like a fun fight to watch. It's not something that like jumps out at you that says, you have to watch this. But because Roy Nelson's such a larger-than-life caricature of a human being / blob, whatever you want to call him, it sounds like something that's at least fun and entertaining, especially considering how much he went the distance with JDS.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about. So I bet so did our listeners. They're a savvy crowd.
I just wanted to make sure. Well, sometimes.
No, yeah. That's good broadcasting. I'm just having a good time. You just keep going.
Thank you. I'm just being thorough, which is also good broadcasting.
It sounds like beating the mic with a piece of paper. Is that fact also? Or
really?
Was it just a brushing?
Oh, I think I was just moving a piece of paper right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, keep going. You're good.
All right, I'm going to yell into this mic.
I'll stop interrupting you. I'm sorry. I'm in Ref's head. That's another segment we're doing, getting in Ref's head.
You're not my dad. You don't tell me how to podcast.
Your father, Dad had a lot of opinions about podcasts. God bless him.
Oh, definitely. My dad calls me up every day. That podcast you did was shit, son. Thanks, Dad. So anyway, okay. So you have that idea. Carwin, Nelson, fun fight. Okay, I guess I'll see it. Oh, wait. Carwin's not going to be on it? Who's going to be on it? Oh, this dude named Matt Mitrione.
Who's that?
Oh, that sounds exciting. Someone, please tell me who he is. Oh, I don't know? You don't know? Great. Let's waste our time to watch this.
And, of course, Roy Nelson
knocks him out. It sounds like a wonderfully enthralling fight. So between that...
I saw the post-fight presser. It was awful. It was so boring.
Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, I was excited to see Melvin Gillard and Jamie Varner fight, and then they pull it. There's a giant post that goes up that says, Varner fell ill and was reportedly not able to compete. He had waited all the way up essentially until when the fight was about to happen, and he had been thrown up the whole time, and they said,
we're not going to let him fight.
Nah, not tonight.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Because, I just like the idea that he was like, I'm good. I'm good.
Well done,
like,
sir.
You're not good. You're vomiting right now. Like, you didn't even get through that sentence. You vomited twice.
That's got to be such a great bit of trying to convince the doctor that you're okay. It's like, no, doc, I swear to God, I'm ready to fight right now.
I'm sorry. I get nervous. I'm a nervous puker. Yeah, and he looked like
I have
death.
so much anxiety, doc.
He's all sunken in.
He probably looked like the missing cast member from Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah, an extra.
And is probably trying to, convince the doc. He's just like, nah, I don't want to be a pussy, doc. But wait, I've been trying to lose weight. I think I'm going to pass out. Okay, fine.
I'll be back in a second. Comes back up just coughing and says, I'm fine. I'm still fine. It's all. I'm a nervous fainter too. Sometimes I also faint when I'm nervous. Yeah.
But it made me think of that too, to the point where
they've got to start publishing this stuff. They got to start showing us these meetings because this is great stuff. Sorry, keep going.
And to be fairly honest, I would pay for that angle. Because how, the UFC shows different angles that you can see while in the octagon? I'd like to see the angle in these training rooms. especially if they're not going to give you the fight. At least
I'm
give
with
us
you,
that.
and I love the training room. I love the advice and the moments, the moments leading into it. I'm with you.
There was a great moment though when George St. Pierre was in Ricci's backdrop. Like he's in the training room with him, and it just shows him wearing a camouflage hat. And he looked beyond pissed that you could find him in that camouflage hat.
He was hoping it would keep him hidden?
Oh, I think. I don't know. You got to ask GSP. I'm not inside his head.
I think he's on GSP. Or are you there? What did you think of the hat? I think we had him call in.
Oh, hi. Sometimes I stand around on standby just in case you want to talk to me, GSP. Yes, I wore camouflage hat. Because
love having him.
I wanted.
GSP.
Why are you talking when I talk?
Why'd you wear a camouflage hat?
Oh, because I wanted to come in disguise.
Oh. Wait, a disguise? You really thought it would hide your head?
Yeah, I just saw Harry Potter. It was good when he wore invisible cloak. I said, okay, I play a prank on UFC. Then they put camera on me. I smile. I go, you found me.
Life is so nice in George St. Pierre's head. I love it in there. Raf, are you back? Did you hear? You're validated. He did think he was going to be invisible.
Well, I mean, if you've won that many fights, I'm pretty sure you get to think you're invisible too.
That's crazy. George St. Pierre. Huge Harry Potter fan, it turns out, too. So, quick plug for J.K. Rowling and that up-and-coming Harry Potter series.
Because they need that.
Let's make sure that's on. I'm just doing that so I can tag Harry Potter in the iTunes tags when we put the show up.
That's going to be so great when a poor little kid who wants to learn about literature hears us talking about why we're psychopaths for watching The Ultimate Fighter.
And smashes. So get a good 20 minutes on that.
Yep.
So Ricci, from what it sounded like, he just got held down pretty much the entire fight. Couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right about Colton Smith. What a
super
boring fighter. And he looked like he had a lot of strength and being able to out wrestle Ricci. And I guess a good strategy. But myself and I was so happy to know that people on Twitter felt the exact same way, because for a while I was wondering here, I'm like, am I the only one who thinks that this is boring? Like, he's literally just grinding down on him, and it didn't make for a good fight at all. And
all of his fights in The Ultimate Fighter were like that too. Yeah. And how many shots did they have of him being a soldier, and how many times did he make a comment about it?
Well, from the get-go, when they do the prepackage, it's like, I fight for the troops, which is intense. I think sometimes when he eats, it's for the troops. When he goes out to take a piss, it's for the troops.
When he has a solid BM,
yeah,
it's for the men and women in uniform.
Honestly, yeah. I think he's just really consistent.
He's got a great constitution. So that's all. We're ready to move past. We didn't even make predictions. That's how unenthused we were about some of these fight cards. But you had to get them done. And now we get to move on to what's sure to be a much more exciting season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, God, I'm hoping so. I don't know. I will say the small, very small highlights, if you are looking to go, look this up later, definitely go look up Hugo Viana. He had a great post-fight conference where he referred to Dana White as Mr. Dana.
Mr. Dana?
I want to thank Mr. Dana. And I was done. Rustam Kabalov. He had a great set of sambo suplexes to the point where he looked like a combination of Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle literally just going to town on German suplexes. It looked fake because he was getting such efficient suplexes done. But he ended up essentially ending the fight via one of the German suplexes and a follow-up punch. It was awesome. So look up that highlight if you will. Look up Mike Pyle if you will as well. Mike Pyle, not just for the knockout, but more so just for the mullet he sported.
He's rocking a mean mullet.
Do you ever get jealous of fighters because
of what they can get away with, personal
style-wise? Like, you see a guy with a mullet, you go, oh, he's a fighter. You see me rocking a mullet, they're like, something's happened to Raf. He's snapped.
Raf is lost complete touch with reality.
I think it's all that UFC he's watching.
Mullet? Yes, he's into those violent things.
Yep. I don't know.
So, speaking of violent things, we are in a current little fight with Twitter, but it's a great time to go into they're upset about our activity.
Yeah.
Just to sum it up, instead of the long version.
We'll give you a short.
Raf, give me some highlights from Twitter.
Okay.
What happened? Give me some of your best tweets of the evening.
Yeah, Twitter was being a dick. Let's just put it at that. But we're great with them now. They're a wonderful service. They promote our nice little show over here. So throughout the night, I tweeted both nights because I'm, again, the responsible one of this duo.
Thank God.
Yeah, someone's got to be, man.
One. Yeah.
But
you're captain of this vessel.
So. I like the idea, though, that both of us say that, and then, like, if the show were ever to, like, be floundering and, like, sinking, both of us are going to be like, it was totally Kevin.
Yeah, oh, no, excuse me? I'll be blaming you as fast as I possibly can.
But yeah, we had some nice interaction with some fans this weekend. We actually got our 300th Twitter follower. His name is Richie Dinning.
Thanks, Richie.
Thanks, Richie. We hope you are listening to this. If you are not, then that means in the next episode we're just going to make fun of you. Because who's to stop us?
It's going to be all how much we hate Richie.
Exactly. God, stupid Richie thinks he's so awesome.
So high and mighty about his twittering.
Let's do a few. So first, what is this? Twitter jokes, Raf jokes? Raf does us? All right.
A little, so you were saying, like, you had some really funny ones, I thought. Bruce Buffer one, especially.
All right. I'll read you a few. Okay. We now are at a segment we like to call Raf's Twitter jokes. All right. Joke number 1. The reason Kavalov did so many suplexes in this fight, his training team dared him to. Reminder, never challenge Kavanagh to kill a man.
Is that true?
Yeah, no.
He was like, my team dare me, I suplex.
Yeah. That's just a terrifying thing to tell someone. Just like,
that's terrifying. I do like the don't ever tell him to kill someone. What if his corner did that on accident? They'll rip his heart out. It's like, oh, well, okay.
Kali Mahim. Kali Mahim now.
That's dangerous.
It is dangerous. Another tweet. Let's take a guess. How many black sleeve shirts do you think Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg own between the two of them?
Oh my God! I'm guessing 24,000, give or take.
I took the under on that. I thought it was just one. And that they just keep watching it. And,
okay, yeah, this is why we work so well together, true. Raf. We both see the other side. I assume that's all they own, and you assume that's the only thing they own. I like that great comedic approaches there.
I just like the
occasionally
idea.
They have a little bling, too.
Oh, well, that's what I was about to say. I was like, you're tempted to say they own more than one shirt, but then you realize that Joe Rogan probably goes home and bedazzles it and dresses it up and dresses it down because he wants those jewels to go in the shape of an angry dragon.
That's impossible because he hasn't done a 20-minute PSA during a fight about bedazzlers. And
not yet.
If he believed in them, you know he'd do it. Next Twitter update.
God. Congrats to Mike Pyle, not on his win for an amazing Powler mullet. Even Bono had to hang his head in shame for the power of that mullet. Boom. In the name of love was the name of that tweet.
Yeah.
This was something that was stupid. Okay, no, but this is a real gripe. Mike Ricci's fight, when he was going into it for the Ultimate Fighter finale, the package that they put together for him had more time dedicated to him training with his girlfriend than actually training with the fight.
training with his girlfriend? Just what does that mean? They just showed her a lot?
Oh, yeah, it was just the two of them going on a date.
Is she really hot?
She was pretty good looking.
Oh, well, asked and answered. Then we know exactly what they were thinking.
Yeah, they were probably like, this girl endorses MMA. Huh?
Yeah,
Lady.
she's a huge fan. Even though Mike Ricci's obviously not your average-looking MMA fighter.
No, and I love that, like, at one point, it shows him just looking at her and, like, pouring out wine and being like, wine? And it's so epically cheesy.
He does talk slow and creepy.
Yeah.
No, is there a Twitter update that comes off this, or is this just you're seeing it and remembering?
No, that was a Twitter update. I think we might have actually gotten a retweet on that one. So
nice. Yeah, it does sound like that surprised me because they never show the girlfriends. They always show like one clip of even the champions' wives, just barely. They always show like one obligatory family scene.
This one was one of my favorites. You think the UFC could spring for a better Ultimate Fighter trophy than something you can buy from your local Things Remembered store? I swear.
Things Remembered, though.
Yeah.
Another great shout out. Here's the Things Remembered. Thank you for all of the work
Like,
you've done.
this is
but
so
I
sad.
agree.
We're
Let's
never
go
going to have a
something
fucking
cool.
sponsor. I think we just need to accept it and own it. This one was good. Next tweet. Do you think before he goes to sleep each night, Bruce Buffer tells himself, it's time to get some Z's?
I saw this tweet and I loved it because then all I could think about was him doing that for everything.
Yeah.
He's like putting a load of laundry in the dryer and he turns them both on and is like, in the right corner, we've got a dryer with a 60-minute spin cycle. And in the left, the water tornado. And I just, that's all I can think about him doing. He just goes to the restroom. He's like, yeah, it's time. I hope he does. I really do.
I feel so sorry for his wife.
It's just, there's also microphones in every living room that drop down from the ceiling.
Actually, that's amazingly
really
cool.
inconvenient.
I would live every moment of that. I will say I got the chance to meet.
Someone should put that on Pinterest.
Yeah, I got the chance to meet Buffer once, and he was so nice. And
did you guys make out?
What's that?
Did you guys make out? Did you try and kiss him?
No, I'm not gonna make out with him.
I would try and kiss him. I would be like, I gotta try those lips out. Come here, Bruce.
That's what you use on your time with Michael Buffer.
He's gonna remember me.
Oh my god, you want to give a verb to Michael Buffer? Weird. I'm sorry, Bruce Buffer. I don't know what you want to do with Bruce. But I love that with Bruce Buffer, like, he really owns it, and he, like, was talking to me about his craft. And he gets it. He gets that it's, like, silly, so he's just kind of like, yeah, I went to go do this one radio voiceover, and you know how it goes. You know when I do this. And I told him I was a fan. I was like, yeah, I'm familiar. I see the way you do it. I love your 180 spin whenever you announce somebody.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, I totally get into it. And, you know, you really gotta go for it sometimes. And so that's the takeaway I've taken away from Bruce Buffer. But I love it. I like the idea that if, you know, he's making food with his wife and it's about to be finished and the microwave's about to go off, you could just see him counting down the seconds just so he can yell it out.
And as, like, his daughter's boyfriend arrives, he's like, let's go over the rules one more time. Nice, clean, just no one's here. This round will be scored by me and me alone.
and Cecil Peoples. Me and Cecil Peoples, always.
You want to give us one more?
Sure, I can do one for you, but I'm going to need some assistance from GSP. Do we have him on the line still?
Yep, well, of course, he's in studio just listening. GSP, could you chime in again?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on. Raf, you just let me know when we're going to do that thing. Okay. We will. Can you... I'm going to forward you. Can you read this? Okay. The tweet says, GSP to Ricci later that evening. You want me just to read this right here? Yeah, if you could do that. You bring much shame to Canada. You no longer have hot girlfriend. I take her now. She is mine. GSP out. Thank you, GSP.
Oh.
That was really good. He nailed the comment timing on that.
He's great. One take. He's awesome. Thanks, GSP. Good work. He's
now I know why they call him Rush.
GSP will steal your girlfriend if you're a Canadian and you lose in the Ultimate Fighter finale.
Sure. Do not bet GSP your girlfriend.
No, I'm not going to let him. I would never let him near anyone important to me that I didn't want swooned. Yep. He's such a sweet talker.
Yeah.
Hear the way he rolls his R's every time. All right, that's pretty much it. You have anything else you wanna say while we're?
Sure, we'll do a couple quick little small things before I forget to. The other thing I noticed with the B and C teams this weekend on both of these Ultimate Fighter things was the fact that they seem to not be really good at getting camera angles, especially I think it was last night's on the Ultimate Fighter finale. Cameramen just kept getting in the way and getting like essentially pushed around by the fighters.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they were like at one point somebody was like going back to the cage and the guy was too close and you saw the camera shake. It was funny more than anything, but that's how you can tell you're like, oh, C team, womp womp. The other one that was really interesting was everybody was super emotional. You could understand the shooting that happened this week was awful, nobody feels good about it. And they did reference it a lot, but maybe none more so than Pat Barry, who after his win against Shane Delzario has a great knockout, and then starts talking about hugging your kids, and he gave Joe Rogan a hug. And it was so hard to shit on him because he was giving out such pure emotion. Until you remember, he just knocked a guy out.
Knocked him completely unconscious.
Like, what better call for, peace than...
Everybody needs to appreciate the person next to them, unless they're getting paid a large sum of money to end that person's consciousness, in which
everybody appreciate the person who's standing next to you until I knock him out. But then really appreciate them after that.
But also, it's a mixed bag because you want sports to pay homage to what's going on around it. Like you want that out of your athletic events, but it's still. I agree with you. It's like
everything feels a little weird.
Pummeled someone to near death. So
that's why we're hoping you guys who are listening with us, we gave you something to think about that wasn't exactly that, because I know at some point you just don't want to read it anymore.
No, it's time to distract, and frankly, this show's not serious enough to talk about such serious things. So
we're too stupid.
Tragedies. Thoughts and prayers with everyone.
Of course, and I think you guys you're gonna miss us because we're not gonna be back until the next fight, which is UFC 155.
It's gonna be in a little while, yeah.
So you guys get a nice Christmas break.
Everybody gets a good holiday, a good retreat. I'm going to Kansas.
Hanukkah. Oh, you're going to Kansas? That's great.
Yeah, I'm actually going to train at some different jiu-jitsu gyms, too, while I'm there. Just some places some friends go to. I'm looking forward to it.
Well done, man. That's great.
Yeah.
I am just going to eat and get fat.
And enjoy sunny L.A. Christmas.
It's cold here, man. It's breaking the 60s out here.
I hate you so much. Breaking the 60s. Thank you, everyone, for the iTunes downloads, the website visits. We are really appreciating the little bit of momentum.
So true.
Thank you to Studio MMA, the folks over at BJJ and MMA Academy, everybody that's just taken some time to listen to it, give us some feedback, and we promise to just keep getting better with only momentary lapses.
Yeah, like when Kevin can't remember where he is on a Friday night.
There are going to be some times when that'll happen.
It does come with the territory.
Oh, that's it for Verbal Tap. Thanks for joining us. This is Kevin and Raf. Thanks for listening, guys.
Good night. Good fight. Boom! Not a performance. No, I'm not repeating. Just a boom. Boom! No, I'm not repeating. Just a boom. Boom! Oh, now it's not organic. Well, the stupid part is boom! And I know you're gonna fucking play this at the end, so whatever. I'm not a performance. Boom! Well, the stupid part is boom! And I know you're gonna fucking play this at the end, so whatever. It's not organic. Boom! Boom! And you're welcome. These are going to be the phrases that get me, like, in my political career when I change modes that won't get me elected. So, yay! Yep.